Let's get right into it. Cancer vaccines target tumors. When you hear cancer vaccine, it's easy to imagine something that stops cancer before it starts. But here's where things get interesting. Some of today's most exciting vaccines are designed to treat cancer that's already there. Scientists analyze a patient's tumor, identify its unique genetic mutations, then create a personalized mRNA vaccine that teaches the immune system exactly what to hunt down. Sounds like science fiction, right? Yet this approach is already being tested in clinical trials for cancers including melanoma, lung cancer, and pancreatic cancer. Researchers hope these vaccines help the immune system recognize cancer cells that once slipped by unnoticed, especially alongside other immunotherapies. They're not routine treatments yet, but they could transform how cancer is treated in the future. Gene editing expands beyond rare diseases. Imagine fixing a disease by changing just a few letters of DNA. Sounds impossible, right? That's exactly what CRISPR gene editing is making possible. After early success treating rare blood disorders, scientists are now testing it against inherited blindness, certain immune diseases, and even some cancers. The goal isn't simply managing symptoms. It's correcting the problem at its genetic source. Here's the exciting part. Researchers are also developing newer editing methods that are even more precise than the original CRISPR technique. These tools aim to reduce unintended DNA changes while targeting only the cells that need treatment. Although many of these therapies are still in clinical trials, they represent one of the biggest shifts in modern medicine, bringing us closer to treatments that could permanently change certain diseases. AI designs new medicines. Discovering a new medicine has traditionally taken years of trial and error, with scientists testing millions of molecules to find one that actually works. But now, artificial intelligence is changing the game. Instead of searching blindly, advanced AI models can predict which molecular structures are most likely to become effective drugs, helping researchers focus on the strongest candidates from the very beginning. Here's the remarkable part. AI isn't simply speeding up the search. It can also design entirely new molecules that have never existed before, tailored to attack specific diseases. Scientists still have to test every candidate in laboratories and clinical trials. So AI doesn't replace researchers. But by cutting years from the early discovery process, it could help life-saving medicines reach patients much sooner. Scientists grow mini-human organs. Imagine testing a medicine on a tiny version of your own organ before it ever reaches your body. Sounds unbelievable, but scientists are already doing it. Using stem cells, researchers can grow miniature organs called organoids that mimic parts of the brain, liver, lungs, intestines, and other tissues. They're only millimeters wide, yet they behave surprisingly like the real thing, giving scientists a powerful new way to study disease. Here's the fascinating part. Because organoids can be grown from a patient's own cells, doctors can sometimes test different treatments to see which works best before giving them to the patient. They're not complete organs and can't replace transplants, but they allow researchers to study illnesses more safely and accurately than ever before. It's a major step towards faster drug development and truly personalized medicine. Scientists turn thoughts into speech. Imagine losing the ability to speak, but not your thoughts. Now imagine a computer giving those thoughts a voice. That's the goal of brain-computer interfaces designed for speech. Tiny implants record the brain signals involved in forming words, while artificial intelligence learns to decode those patterns and convert them into spoken sentences. What once sounded like science fiction is now becoming a reality in research labs. Here's the incredible part. Recent experimental systems have allowed some people with paralysis to communicate far more naturally than before, generating speech in real time with a computer-generated voice. The technology is still in clinical research and isn't widely available yet, but every improvement brings scientists closer to restoring communication for people who have lost the ability to speak. Engineered bacteria become medicine. Most people think of bacteria as something that makes you sick. But what if some could actually become medicine? Scientists are genetically engineering harmless bacteria to live inside the body and perform specific jobs, such as producing therapeutic molecules, reducing inflammation, or attacking disease-causing cells. Instead of acting like ordinary drugs, These living medicines can respond to their surroundings and work exactly where they're needed. Here's where it gets exciting. Researchers are testing engineered bacteria for conditions including certain cancers, inflammatory bowel disease, and rare metabolic disorders. Many of these therapies are still in clinical trials, so they aren't routine treatments yet. But by turning tiny microbes into programmable helpers, scientists are opening an entirely new way to treat disease using living cells instead of traditional pills. Needle-free vaccine patches. For over a century, vaccines have usually meant one thing, a needle. But scientists are developing tiny skin patches covered with hundreds of microscopic needles, each so small they're barely felt. Once placed on the skin, these microneedles dissolve and deliver the vaccine to immune cells just beneath the surface. The patch is removed, while the medicine stays behind to do its job. Here's the clever part. Because the skin is packed with immune cells, some patch-based vaccines may trigger strong immune responses using smaller doses. Researchers are also exploring patches that are easier to store and transport than certain traditional vaccines. Although they're still being tested and aren't yet widely available, these painless patches could make future vaccinations simpler, faster, and less intimidating for millions of people. Scientists are growing new teeth. Losing a tooth has always meant fillings, bridges, or implants. But what if your body could simply grow a brand new one? That's exactly what researchers are trying to achieve. Scientists are studying the signals that control tooth development, with the goal of stimulating the growth of a natural replacement tooth after one is lost. Instead of creating artificial teeth, the idea is to help the body rebuild its own. Here's the exciting part. Researchers have already identified proteins that normally limit tooth formation and are testing treatments that could unlock the growth of additional teeth. Early clinical research is now underway, but this technology is still experimental and years away from everyday dental care. If it succeeds, future dentists might one day help patients regrow real teeth instead of replacing them with artificial ones. One injection lowers cholesterol. Imagine controlling high cholesterol with a single injection instead of taking tablets every day. Sounds unbelievable, but scientists are testing gene editing therapies that do exactly that. These treatments target a gene called PCSK9, which helps regulate LDL, often called bad cholesterol. By permanently reducing the gene's activity in liver cells, the body can naturally remove more LDL from the bloodstream. Here's the remarkable part. Early clinical studies have shown that one treatment can produce large and long-lasting reductions in LDL cholesterol. Researchers are still studying its long-term safety and effectiveness, so it isn't yet a routine therapy. But if future trials continue to succeed, a one-time gene editing treatment could transform how millions of people manage inherited or severe high cholesterol. AI predicts heart disease early. Most heart disease is discovered only after symptoms appear. But what if the warning signs were hiding in plain sight all along? Researchers are training artificial intelligence to analyze ECGs, heart scans, and other medical data, spotting tiny patterns that are nearly impossible for the human eye to detect. In some cases, AI can estimate a person's future risk of heart problems before obvious symptoms develop. Here's the fascinating part. These systems don't replace doctors. Instead, they act as powerful assistants, helping identify patients who may need closer monitoring or earlier treatment. Many AI tools are still being tested and validated before widespread use, but they're already showing how machine learning could make heart disease detection faster, more accurate, and potentially life-saving. Until we meet again,